Okay, students, let us start now. So, to remind you, yesterday we were studying about various oxidizing agents which I got from here. These are all the oxidizing agents which, on treatment with primary, secondary, and tertiary alcohols, the respective products we have seen. We did few examples based on that as well, and there are few name reactions, right? So which not essentially have to be understood with mechanism, but just the reagent is important. For instance, Swan's oxidation, where we react that with DMSO and oxyl chloride, then primary alcohols will become aldehydes, secondary alcohols will become ketones. Oppenhier's oxidation is exactly the reverse of MPV. If we took these two and treated with isopropoxy aluminum, we saw the reaction went this side. If you take these two and react that with isopropoxy aluminum, then the reaction will go in the forward direction. That is just Oppenhier's oxidation. Okay, the mechanism is exactly the back steps of what we have done in MPV reduction. Next is steric ammonium nitrate test. In this nitrate test, we can see that again primary alcohols will become aldehydes, secondary alcohols will become ketones. In short, again, the mechanism is not at all important for JEE syllabus. All you need to know is that the yellow color solution, which is +4 oxidation state of cerium, is turning into colorless +3 oxidation state of cerium. Just that it will go through a route where it will first convert into a red color complex, which on withstanding will become colorless. Okay, so that's how the reaction is driving here. In case if you have tertiary, the reaction will take place and stops at this red complex. Okay, after that further fading of that and becoming colorless is not observed, which is a confirmation that it must be tertiary alcohol. Okay, we one second. We have treated that with bromine water. If you have primary alcohols, it will give aldehyde, secondary alcohols will get ketones. The brown color solution, okay, bromine water is brown color solution, will become colorless in this, right? Now let us see the test for alcohols. What are the simple tests we need to remind ourselves for alcohols? First, metal test. Sodium metal test. Any alcohol, when you treat that with sodium metal, got it? So which means if you take any ROH and treat that with sodium metal, we are expected that it would form an alkoxide and hydrogen gas will release. So we can see brisk efflorescence of H2 gas would be appear. It would give a neutral, it would be neutral towards the litmus test. Next, when it comes to alcohols in Lucas test, we have already seen it is a distinction between primary, secondary and tertiary alcohols. If they are tertiary, allyl, benzyl or CPM type, you know that it would give the turbid immediately. Immediate turbid will be appeared. 2 degrees 3 to 10 minutes, you can say it would give a turbid. If it is 1 degree, after 30 minutes, or on heating, this is what you will see in case if you are using Lucas test. Okay, I request all of you today not to write the notes because there are huge questions and structures. It will take a lot of time to figure out and finish it up. So I would suggest please focus on the complete lecture and don't worry about writing. You can write that eventually after I send you the notes. Okay, check this. So after 30 minutes or on heating, we can see primary alcohols can be observed to give some turbid. So another thing we just learned is can test. In can test, if we have primary, secondary and tertiary, we would get a red color complex first. If it is primary and secondary, it will become colorless. K2Cr2O7, we have seen whether it is primary or secondary alcohol, orange solution will turn into green. Bromine water which is brown, if it is primary or secondary alcohols, it would become colorless, right? Last one, this is the official confirmation test, for alcohols, known as Victor-Meyer test. Got it? Also known as RBC test. So easy way of remembering RBC, just like red blood corpuscles. Got it? So remember it that way, RBC test, which means
That way, RBC test.
guys, please, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we have primary alcohols, secondary alcohols, and tertiary alcohols, you can see here, this is 1 degree, 2 degree, and 3 degree. What is the reaction to be done? Check it out. First, if you have a mixture of these three, imagine I have 1 degree, 2 degree, and 3 degree. Either I have to separate it out, or I have to identify which of them are being what exactly the position, whether it is 1 degree, 2 degree, or 3 degree alcohol. So what we do, first we react that with red phosphorescent I2. So you will see a substitution reaction will happen. We'll get RCH2I, R2CHI, R3CI. So this is what we will see. Okay. And once you get this substitution done, again we react AgNO2. AgNO2, when you react, this iodine will be replaced by NO2, because Ag and I will becomes an AgI precipitate. So we will see yellow precipitate is forming, and we will get RCH2NO2. On this, if you treat that with HNO2, you remember HNO2, how do we get? We get this as NaNO2 plus HCl. So if we take that, we can generate HNO2, nitrous acid. When we treat that with nitro groups here, right, what you will get? This H2, check out this carefully, this H2, okay, and O will dehydrate here, and it would form a bond like this, C double bond NOH. Got it? So this is nitrooxime, and it has a name also, nitrolic acid. Got it? In fact, all oximes appeared colored, and you would see this nitrolic acid is blue in color. Okay. Next, if it is a secondary alcohol, right? So there is only one H here. So you would see this H and this OH will undergo dehydration this time, and you will have C and double bond O, which is also blue color solution. But if you treat that with tertiary alcohol does not make any reaction, because now this carbon does not have any hydrogen to make any dehydration. So reaction will stop here itself. So if it is tertiary, what you will see, first you will get iodide, then you will get nitro, and it is still colorless solution. Just we got AgA precipitate, after that no color has been found. See the secondary now. Iodide, nitro, then this nitroso group, which is blue color, and then you add that with NaOH, no reaction will take place. So blue color remains the way it is. This entire 3 degree has always been colorless. Second degree has become blue color here, and it has stopped. But if you treat this nitrolic acid further with NaOH, this will turn into an salt which is red color. This would become red color. That is why it is red color here, blue color here, and colorless here. So that's how it is RBC test. Right. So just revise these steps. First, red phosphorus iodine, AgNO2, HNO2, then NaOH. These are the four steps we need to operate. Okay, guys. So if you get red color solution, eventually it is primary. If you get blue color, secondary. If it is colorless, it is tertiary. So that is Victor-Meyer test. Okay. Now there are few terms we will keep coming across. like what exactly do we name them, what is the percentage that is present in them, right? Once again, see, rectified spirit. Ethanol is called as rectified spirit, and usually it will have 95% ethanol, okay, and 5% water. Absolute spirit as in 100% ethanol, okay. Methanol is also known as wood spirit. These are the names, okay. Then when we usually we dehydrate, you know generally when you have some water in the salts, we would use calcium chloride to use it as a drying agent. Calcium chloride cannot be used to dry ethanol because it forms a complex with it. So calcium itself will form a complex with ethanol or any alcohol. So usually calcium chloride is to be not used for dehydration of water through from alcohols. Okay. Denaturation means if we have ethanol being added with pyridine and copper sulfate, it will give a foul smell. Okay, and that is called denaturation spirit. Correct. So I hope you guys understood that. Power alcohol is also 100% ethanol. Okay, so these are few terms you must know, right? Now the next thing that could be asked is, how we can distinguish, you know uh, if we have a primary and secondary alcohol, what are the tests we can do? If you observe, as long as we have a methyl group present on it, we can go for iodoform test. So N2 and NaOH. Got it? We can distinguish this by Victor Mayer test. Okay, but Victor Mayer is a solution form, so this is most useful. I2 and NaOH is more useful form. Okay. Other than that, we can get Lucas test. So they would help to determine these differences. Next, if you check out these two here, between these two, both of them are secondary. But here we have a methyl group, but in the second case we do not have. So the best way to identify is I2 and NaOH. Okay. If it is tertiary and this group secondary here, so again we can see iodine and NaOH can be used here, because this part can be oxidized by iodoform reaction, not this part. Alright, tertiary does not undergo iodoform reaction. So you can distinguish by other reagents also, right? So just I'm giving you as a case. Think in these lines, what are the reagents which can distinguish this? Okay. Now coming today mostly to understand what are polyhydric alcohols. So let us focus more on that. Polyhydric alcohols is having more than one OH groups. So we'll start with glycols. When we have 1,2 diols, we call them as glycols. Okay. So if you have ethane, we call it as ethylene glycol. Got it. So let us see the preparation here. I'm repeating this once again, students. Please do not worry about writing right now, because I need to finish up the cases, because today we have a lot of cases to discuss. So let me finish that first. Anywhere you are finding it difficult, do stop me. Okay. Right. Check out the preparation. From alkenes, it is easy to prepare the glycol forms. We have seen that with Bayer's reagent, cold dilute alkaline KMnO4, it will make a syn addition to give this, 1,2 diol forms. Same way, osmium tetraoxide, if you treat that, you will get a syn addition, again 1,2 diol forms. MCPBA, peroxy acids, same thing, whether in acidic medium or a basic medium and hydrolysis, we will get anti-addition. Ag2O or Ag in the presence of oxygen, sorry, first it forms epoxide. Epoxide will again give you these alcohols, again by anti-addition. HOX In HOX, just always think in terms of HO minus and X plus. So first imagine as if it is forming, X here and OH here and R here. Now if you treat that with OH minus, this OH minus will take away this H plus and we will have O minus and X, and this O minus will attack internally and makes it a formation of ethers, I mean epoxides. Now once you get this on hydrolysis, okay, because you have aqueous NaOH, on hydrolysis again you will get this form, got it? So it would go in this particular route. First HOX will be formed, then X minus will be removed, formation of epoxides, then reaction with OH minus to form finally diols. Bromine in the same case, if you have two bromines, okay, so if you have Br and Br addition, electrophilic addition is done, then replace that with OH minus. So both will be replaced and you will get diols. So these are all the preparation type which you can see. Second way of preparing diols is by aldehydes and ketones. So if you check out here, RCHO and aldehyde, if you treat that with magnesium amalgam and then hydrolyze it. So you have seen this mechanism before also. Magnesium releases electrons into the solution and electrons will attack on the carbon, getting a radical form. And two radicals, if I take 2 moles here, these two radicals will terminate among themselves and you will get O minus here, alkoxide forms. And these alkoxide forms will extract H plus and becomes diols. This is a typical way of preparing, diols. From ketones, we will get the same thing. Suppose if you have alpha diketones, right? So this is with respect to this carbon, it is alpha. So these are called alpha diketones. Okay. So if you have alpha diketones, you treat them with lithium aluminum hydride, and you know that aldehydes or ketones will form alcohols. So that is one way. The other one is react with Grignard's reagent. Methyl will attack here, methyl will attack here. And then hydrolyze that, we will get OH diols. This is also can be done for the preparation. Next, acyloins. If you have a alpha hydroxy ketone, that is called acyloins. Okay, got it? Alpha hydroxy ketones, alpha hydroxy ketones, right? So if you have alpha hydroxy ketone, use that with lithium aluminum hydride. We know that this C double bond O will get reduced to OH. That is also a preparation for diols. Alpha keto ester. Okay, suppose if you have same thing, this side there is a keto form, this side there is an this side there is an ester form, this side there is a keto form. React that with lithium aluminum hydride, again we will get this diols. If you treat that with Grignard's reagent also, CH3 will attack here, CH3 will attack here, CH3 will attack here. On both the sides we will get this, right? So just to remind you, if this CH3 attacks on the ester, we require 2 moles. If it attacks on the ketone, we require 1 mole. So totally 3 moles are required. So that's why you could see 3 methyl groups would be present in the final diols. So I hope you got an idea like what are the ways by which we can prepare diols. So these are all the cases by which you can prepare diols. Generally note down that if it comes to ethylene glycol, we know that it would have this CH2OH form can be represented in many conformers, out of which we learned this before in isomerism that the gauche form is usually more stable, correct? But it is stable as long as there is no solvent either in the pure form or in aprotic solvents. Then ethylene glycol gauche form is more stable. But because in hydrogen the intermolecular hydrogen bonding would be more favored, right? So as long as there is no hydrogen bonding from the solvent, gauche is more stable. But the minute hydrogen bonding comes into effect, which means if at all I put this in water, got it? So imagine I put this entire thing, right, in water now. Suppose if this is water, in water it would start making hydrogen bonding in all the directions here. So better hydrogen bonding will be formed as long as this OH are opposite to each other. So this time the anti-conformer would be more stable. So between gauche and anti, just check out what solvent is given. Okay, if nothing is given, take it as water and make anti as the more stable form. Okay guys, so check out the chemical reactions now. These are all simple ones, that's why I'm rushing. Where we need to spend more time, especially pinnacle rearrangements, there we'll see case by case. See, ethylene glycol, when you treat that with SOCl2, we have seen that even with the case of, you know, PCl5 or with the case of PCl3, you know the reaction. OH will be replaced with chlorines, right? So this is the simple reaction which you can imagine. So first reaction is reaction with SOCl2. So we would get this. Now if we treat that with red phosphorescent I2, so this is an important reaction. First we will have iodine getting replaced. You know that whether it is PCl5, PCl3, PBr3, Pi3, they would give the same reaction. So both these alcohol, both these OH forms would be replaced by iodine. Now generally iodines are very bigger in size. So first thing, in the vicinal positions they will repel with each other. Okay, so you would see repulsions of iodine and iodine are seen. Second thing, if it forms I2, this would come in a solid crystal form. So which means it will decompose into this solid crystal form. So that is a motivation. So even at a room temperature, what you will observe, as soon as you have vicinal iodides, they will immediately decompose into an alkene and forms I2. And it is a reversible step. So depending upon if you again heat to a larger extent, where you will make them into a molten form, reaction will again come back here. But at the normal temperature, what you will observe, due to repulsions and this solid crystal formation, the reaction tends more in the forward direction. So in questions, if you've been asked, you would always make sure you do this. You remove iodine if it is vicinal and always write the alkene form as the product. So when you treat that with red phosphorescent I2, ethylene will be the product. Okay. Next, the same thing if you treat with HI. HI, what would happen? First, dehydration will take place. H plus will get added on both the sides. H2O will be removed. Iodines will be replaced. Then we will get alkene here because I2 has been done. Again add HI to that. So what happened here? H plus get added, electrophilic addition will take place. With H plus you will get add here. Carbocation will be formed, CH3 CH2 plus, and on which if you add minus, if you add I minus, you will get this product. Okay, I hope all of you understood 2 and 3. Anybody has a doubt, do ask now. Okay, see the next question here. If we treat these glycols with concentrated H2SO4, okay, in concentrated H2SO4 you would see, you know, every 2 moles will start forming this dioxane. So basically it is like this, we have OH2 plus and OH2 plus, the other mole which is OH and OH, they will attack on these respective carbons and remove out this water molecule and forms dioxane. Okay, these are all with respect to major products. There would be other products also, but we are not at all concerned with that. We are only concerned with what would be the major product with concentrated H2SO4. See, concentration H2SO4 is a good dehydrating agent. So it will always look for a product which is more dehydrated. Okay, so that's why you will get 1,4-dioxane. But if you treat the same thing with concentrated H3PO4, right? So this time, instead of forming this dioxane, first it will form an ether form, which means we will have CH3, COH, sorry, CH2, OH, CH2, OH2 plus, right? The other mole of CH2OH, CH2, OH2 plus, this mole will attack here, remove water and extend the chain. So you would see the chain get extended in the form of an ether. So again the next mole will attack here, the next mole will attack here. So what is happening? So eventually a polymerized product will come. If you have given 2 moles, you will stop it here. If you have given n moles, you will take it up to this part. So that is a difference what you will see when you use concentrated H2SO4 and concentrated H3PO4. Next, if we use oxalic acid, same glycol, if you are using that with oxalic acid, first you will have an ester formation, because you can see this is OH and H, OH and H. So we'll just learned the other day what is esterification. So you can get this cyclic ester forming, and the cyclic esters on heating, so they will immediately decompose into ethylene and carbon dioxide will come out. So this is the way it will go through a concerted step and gets an ethylene formation. So these three you just have to mug up, guys, what happens with concentrated H2SO4, H3PO4 and oxalic acid. Okay. In case if we use anhydrous ZnCl2, okay. In case of anhydrous ZnCl2, simple dehydration will take place, minus H2O, which means this OH and this H will relieve out. So we will get an enol, and enol will tautomerize to get aldehydes. Okay, everybody. So these are the reactions, few reactions of glycols which you need to know. Alright. Especially these are directly asked as objective type questions many times in JEE mains 4, 5, 6. So directly you can check out what is a product, what is a major product, and write that accordingly. Now let's see, this is an important area for advanced pinacol-pinacolone rearrangement. Okay. If we have two alkyl groups on both the sides at a tertiary alcohol positions of diols, we call that as pinacol. And if one of the position, right, gets a keto form by rearranging this, and we will have the tert form on the other side, sorry, neo form on the other side, we call it as pinacolone. Right, so that's what happens from pinacol to pinacolone, rearrangement is taking place. The other reagents, it's not necessary we always have to use concentrated H2SO4. The other reagents could be H3PO4, P4O10, PCl5, SOCl2 and HClO4. All of them will give the similar reaction. In short, either these are acidic oxides or strong acids, concentrated acids. Okay. Check how the mechanism is happening here. First, because there is an availability of H plus or a Lewis acid, the lone pair will attack on this H plus, forms OH2 plus, and OH2 will come out as a because you can get a stable carbocation here. So first step, protonation. Second step, dehydration. Okay, keep checking the steps. First step is protonation, second step is dehydration. You will get a carbocation. Once you get a carbocation here, right, then this carbocation get further stabilized if it comes here, right, because octet completed carbocation will be the most stable one. So if I sum means rearrange this carbocation to this side, it would be more stable. So you could see this methyl will shift, oxygen will make a double bond. Okay, you can directly write with these two arrows, or you can show this transition also, which means first this carbocation is first this methyl has shifted, a carbocation is formed, and then the lone pair on this oxygen has made it like a double bond. Okay, got it. So even if this has been given in the exam as one of the steps, write it, take it correct. Either you can do it as a one step or you can do it as two steps. Both of them are accepted mechanisms. So step 2, we got a carbocation formation. Then from that step 2, we got into a more stable carbocation. Correct? Right. This step 2, from step 2, you can see here the carbocation has formed and you got a C double bond OH. Then deprotonation step has happened and finally we got this pinacolone. This is a usual steps which you will see, which means pinacolone has 4 main steps. So one is a protonation, next is dehydration, next is rearrangement, last is deprotonation. Okay. And one very important point about pinacolone rearrangement is that it is completely intramolecular. Okay, so this reaction is completely intramolecular, which means if I take two mixtures of pinacoles, we don't see any crossover products. Okay, that is very important. If it comes in the questions, you be very careful with that. For instance, I gave you mixture of these two. Okay, watch carefully everybody. These two are the pinacoles. One is with methyls, one is with ethyls. If we treat that with concentrated H2SO4, with respect to this individual pinacole, whatever the pinacolone comes, that is the one which you need to check. With respect to this is the one which you will get. This is the pinacolone which you will get. You do not get any crossover products like this, that ethyl is shifted onto this methyl form or methyl is shifted onto ethyl form. So we will not get these products at all. So only these two are the true products. These are not even found in small any small percentage also. Okay, so mixture which shows that pinacolone is a completely intramolecular reaction. Okay guys, next. So I hope this point is clear so far. See that migrating group, if it is chiral, suppose if this methyl which is migrating here, for instance, here you can see this methyl is migrating, but if this methyl which has a chiral center, so imagine if it has some chiral center like this, okay, it has hydrogen, maybe deuterium, okay, and some other group, maybe ethyl here, and that is migrating. So it's, if at all its configuration is R, the same R configuration would be retained here. That is what it meant. So I hope you guys got that. So the migrating group will retain its chirality and the configuration is retained. Next, suppose if you have an unsymmetrical, you can check this. Two sides there are phenyls, two sides there are methyls, and these are unsymmetrical pinacoles. So in case if you have unsymmetrical pinacole, first check out the most stable carbocation, because here we can get two types of carbocations, one with pH positive charge, and methyl and OH. This is one carbocation. We can get pH OH methyl carbocation. So this carbocation can be observed. So out of these two, since the first one is more stable, we will not follow through this reaction. Does that mean it won't be present? It will be in a minor product. Got it? But the major product will be always driven by more stable carbocation. So more stable form is this, and from there you migrate this methyl and then you will get the major product as pinacolone. This is the next important point of pinacolone. Next, suppose if you have different groups present, if you have different groups to be migrated, for instance here there were two methyls only, right? If you have two different groups, then it depends upon the migrating aptitude. So general migrating aptitude is hydride will shift the most, then phenyl 3 degree, 2 degree and 1 degree. Within phenyls, if you observe, if you have any methoxy group attached on the para position like this, right, this side it is connected to carbon, but on the para position we have OMe. OM is a strong donating group by plus M, so that would help in transition state when migrating. So therefore any plus M groups will help them. So this is a plus M group. Methyl is also a donating or activating group. Only phenyl, then Cl is a withdrawing group. You can see it is a withdrawing group. Okay, nitros are withdrawing group, but only one exception that has been observed is that if it is ortho, correct, if it is ortho methoxy, which means if this methoxy group is here, if this methoxy group is here, its migrating ability is very less. Okay, the possible reason for that, let me show you. Suppose if you have this type of a migration to be done, I have phenyl here, OH here, and on this side, sorry, I have a carbocation here, and I have to migrate. Okay, I have CH3 here, OMe here, and phenyl here. Sorry, not CH3, phenyl here. Okay, so between these two, what our usual expectation is that because it has a lone pair and it is donating species, we expect that it should migrate more rather than phenyl. But here phenyl will migrate better as compared to that of migration of this. This migration is not observed. Why this migration is not observed? Suppose if it migrates, it would increase the crowding on this pH, as the methyl group would be much closer for repulsions. Methoxy groups, this OH3 group would be more OH this way, right? So this methoxy group would have more repulsions with this phenyl groups around it. So that's why its migrating ability is less in these cases. Okay, and this is specifically cases for pinacol-pinacolone rearrangement only. So in case of pinacol-pinacolone, just be careful that ortho-methoxy group would be less migrating compared to that of phenyl. Okay, even compared to that of chlorine. So you can see that this is the right order for it. Now obviously I can't compare whether nitro is better or this is better, but in general if these three are given, you can compare phenyl is better than chloro, better than nitro, because nitro is strongly withdrawing. So that's about migrating ability. Now I have already put out all the cases here with mechanism so that we will save some time. So focus on the mechanisms. I have written each and every step, so please check out carefully here. Suppose if this migration has to be done, first case, simple case. First one is a simple case, so I have not written the mechanism for that. So check out. Concentrated H2SO4, we know that OH2 will be relieved. Then between phenyl and methyl, phenyl migration will take place. So that's why you can see two phenyls, one methyl, and the other side we will have C double bond of methyl. So this is the pinacolone which you will get. Next question, check out. If this is the question given, these are the diols, concentrated H2SO4 being treated. So on one side it got protonated here. So that protonation, that will relieve that H2O. We will get this carbocation here. Now this carbocation can undergo ring expansion because it is a 5-membered ring. So this bond will break here, it will make a ring formation here. So 6-membered ring is formed. If you count the numbering here right now, so you can see this has started with first carbon, second carbon, third carbon, fourth, fifth and sixth carbon. Okay. So this is the first carbon. The migration has started between first and second carbon here. So first carbon, second, third carbon, third, fourth, fifth and sixth carbon, right? So on the third carbon, you can see we have OH, that will give the double bond stability here by removing that H plus, deprotonation. 4 steps, remember that again: protonation, dehydration, rearrangement, deprotonation. Okay. Next, check out this case. If you have a case like this is also a diol, OH and OH in the presence of H plus. First OH2 has been formed, OH2 is removed, carbocation is formed, right? Now this time, see, the importance is the stability of OH, stability of carbocation. So to increase the stability of carbocation, the 6-membered ring will break here, here it will break, and it will become a 5-membered ring, compress it to a 5-membered ring. And as it compresses to the 5-membered ring, this carbon will have OH, which will support the double bond, and this would be the final product. Okay, see the next case. This is a special case. This is not a diol, right? So, but this is a cyclic case, right? Cyclic decane here, where you have OH and OH, right, opposite to each other like this. Now, in this case, first OH2 is formed, carbocation is, first the carbocation is formed, which means first you will have OH2 plus here, that is removed, first carbocation is formed. So far it is fine. Now here there is no bond between these two, correct? Just like earlier question, there is no bond here. But what you could see that these hydrides are spatially more close towards this carbon, especially when you have 8 to 11 membered rings. We will always see spatially hydrides are close towards carbocations. In any position, guys, in any position, they are close to carbocations. So we will see a transannular hydride shift. So in these cases, what you will do, H minus shift has been observed. So H minus will directly shift here, and this lone pair will support as a double bond, and you will get this product. And this is valid for 8 to 11 membered rings. Next case, you see one side there is a tertiary case, tertiary alcohol. This side tertiary alcohol but with cyclic ring. So if that is the case, we will always give priority towards the tertiary here. One thing, it is more stable because of more hyperconjugated hydrogens. Second thing, it will facilitate the ring expansion. So once the OH2 is being removed out, carbocation is formed. You can see the bond breaking will take place here. This will extend itself to form cyclic ring here, and OH will support, and finally you will get this product. So simple ring expansion, just the initial niche which you need to know that which OH will attack. I hope this case is also clear. See the next case. Again protonation. The protonation could have been done on this oxygen, or it could done on this oxygen. Here, although this is tertiary case, right, ring expansion is always more favored. So that's why OH from here will attack, OH2 is formed here, then the ring will break here, ring expansion will take place, the lone pair present on it will extend to a double bond formation, and this is found to be more than 50%. Well, the other form is also there, that would be less than 50%. So this is the major product. I hope this case is also clear. This is already there in assignment 2 and 3. This has been a repeated question in exams also. So check it out carefully. Next case. Check out here. Again, this is diol. OH is there here. This is a simple case. Obviously, the O will always take it from the more stable carbocation formation. So this will form a more stable carbocation. Hydride shift is seen. So you will get this here. So this is a simple case. Simple hydride shift has been observed. Next case. Now this is a very important case, guys. Check out. Suppose if you have these two OH groups, vicinal diol groups here. First protonation is done, which means the lone pair on this oxygen is taking away this H plus, makes OH2 formation here, and this OH2 is to be removed, carbocation is formed. So once the carbocation is formed, we can expect that okay, methyl has a good migrating aptitude, so that will shift. Okay, but if the methyl shift, it is not generating a very stable 4-membered ring, although it is definitely going to come across lone pair of oxygen, but still it is not going to help in the stability of this 4-membered ring. But if the ring compression takes place, suppose if this bond breaks and ring compression happens, now this would become a very stable carbocation. One thing, the stable carbocation, because the lone pair can help, so which is OCC also, octet completed carbocation. Second thing, it is the cyclopropyl methyl carbocation, which is supposedly very stable form. So it would go for ring compression in this case. So that you must know, and this would be the major product. Learn this case once again after the class, okay? So do it on your own and see how the product is coming. So I have put out the reason, the angle strain of cyclobutane relieving is not sufficient enough. So that's why ring compression will take place. Any doubt here? Okay. Let us see the next case. Next case, especially cyclohexane cases. In cyclohexane cases, right, these two OH, first case I am taking is both equatorial. When you have both equatorial, I can start, attacking from any end here. So suppose if the lone pair from here is attacking this H plus, and you will get this OH2 formation, right? Correct. So in cyclohexanes, as the bond is being relieved here, immediately the attack will take place. So as the so it is not going to completely form the carbocation, so immediately the attack will take place. So here you can see either the methyl shift will take place here, correct, but the methyl cannot approach that sigma star present here, and that is always more favored, attacking on the sigma star. So you can see this bond is on the direction of that this bond, if you break it, that would be in the direction of that sigma star. So that is what I have shown here, you can check out, correct. So this OH2 is relieving, at the same time this bond break happens, and this carbon will attack on the sigma star, relieving this group. So a 5-membered ring is formed. Check out the numbering carefully, everyone. This is carbon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1 and 5 connection has been established. So 1 and 5 connection has been established. On the fifth carbon, we have CH2, CH3. So this is that CH3. Now this is connected with OH, so that would become double bond O. And on the second carbon, we have tert butyl. This is the one which you have. So learn that case carefully. So in equatorial, we will see equatorial OH whenever it is present, we will always get that form, right? So I have written here, in chair form, alkyl groups anti to OH2 will migrate. Okay. Now suppose I have an axial case and an equatorial case. Got it? See what happens, the approach of axial, right, so the approach of equatorial towards H plus is much easier as compared to that of axial ones, okay, because this is least hindered from anything, and protonation of equatorial OH is always more observed compared to that of axial ones. So that's why you will get this 5-membered ring always as a major product, okay. Now, whenever you have cis and trans, right, within them, what is this? This is a cis form, correct? And if it is a trans form, both OH will be equatorial, right? So I have written it here, just check this out. This is a trans form, both equatorial. This is also equatorial. This is also equatorial. So which means this is a trans form. See, because it is in a solution of acid H plus, we can see dehydration will happen here. Dehydration will happen again. Rehydration will happen. So dehydration, rehydration will keep happening. That's why you will see trans and cis will exist in equilibrium. Okay. So wherever in acidic medium, if you check out the diols, they will always have trans and cis forms both existing. Out of which you know that trans form is relatively more stable here. Got it? Trans form is more stable because it gets the gauge position, right? So you can see, always think in terms of transform and then do the reaction. Got it? Or even if you see the cis form, always do prefer the reaction for major product on the equatorial position. So from here do the protonation step first. Check this. So protonation of equatorial OH is always more preferred over axial. Suppose if nothing is given, like only like this it is given. So there is OH and methyl group here. So that could have been in a cis form or a trans form, but we know that they will both exist in equilibrium, right? So we will take this trans form here, got it? And from here, you check it out, from here I will make the protonation step first, okay? And then make sure I'll break this bond and attack. I'll break this bond and attack this from this end. So what you would get, major product will always be compressed cyclic form, which is more than 90%. Got it. So if the question is been given like this, always prefer this to be the major product. So I've shown you, even if you take the cis case, right? If you take the trans case, how you need to check out. Suppose if I take only cis case, both sides I'm taking cis case. One case is that I can have this OH2, which is on the axial side, remove that and migrate this methyl. So I will get this cyclohexanone. The other case is at this equatorial position, remove that OH2 and attack from this carbon position. So you will get this as the product. And like I said, this would always be the major product. See the next reaction here. If we treat that with H plus, again check out for the more stable carbocation here. So you can see that this would form a more stable carbocation here. OH2 is removed, this carbocation is formed, ring expansion takes place, and you'll get this as the product. This case is also been very familiar case. In all reference books you will see this as the this has the prime importance to understand pinacol-pinacalone reaction. Next, see it in this case here. This time we can get a tertiary carbocation here also and here also, okay? But you see the lone pair from here attacks and gets a stable carbocation here. So you can see first it gets a stable carbocation here. Then ring expansion is taking place, which means 6-membered ring can become 7-membered ring as well. And this lone pair will support as a double bond here and you can get this product. So it will be more than 50%. That will be the major product. Suppose instead of giving H plus only, sometimes you can do via tosylation also. And you remember what is tosylation? Tosylation is that the lone pair present on this oxygen, right, one of this, it will attack on the tosyl group, which is on the sulfur group, and makes this as a better leaving group. OT becomes a much better leaving group. So this is a good leaving group now. It will leave and makes a carbocation, and then ring expansion will take place. Finally, you will get this product. So sometimes instead of giving H plus, you might be given this also, tosyl chloride in pyridine. Reaction is the same. Okay. See the other cases of pinacol. These are called semi-pinacols because they do not have diols. They might have some other group along with alcohol. Like in this case, we have NH2. NH2, when you treat that with NaNO2 and HCl, this is called diazotization. So NH2 will become, right, NH2 will become N2 plus, and you will realize that N2 plus in alkyl is highly unstable and it forms carbocation. And once you get carbocation, migration will take place and you will get pinacalone. That's why these are called semi-pinacols. I guess you guys understood that. Same reaction, if we check out NaNO2 HCl is given, carbocation is N2 is formed here, carbocation formation, ring expansion, 7-membered ring. Okay. Now this is a special case. If the same semi-pinacalone with this amine group is present in cyclohexane, then that type of rearrangement is called Demjanov rearrangement. So in Demjanov rearrangement, what are the possible products could be asked to you first? Check out. If you have OH NH2, they both could be cis to each other, they could be trans to each other, right? So in all those three cases, cis and trans cases, we will see these three products can arise. How much major and minor depends upon what configuration, what conformation it has been given to you. Right. So check out, these three products can come, and let us understand how those products are coming in all the cases. First case, what I am doing is taking OH and NH2 trans to each other, means both equatorial. Observe carefully, everyone. So if both are equatorial, first a carbocation formation is observed here, and like I said, in cyclohexane, before even carbocation formation, N2 plus will leave and this group will attack. So you will get a 5-membered ring formation. Be very careful on that. As long as NH2 is on the equatorial position, we can see the ring compression is been observed, right? Next, if NH2, check this out, is in axial position, if that is on axial position, now this N2 formation is been done, and when it is relieving, right, so when it is relieving here, then opposite to that is OH group only, correct, because now this alkyl groups are not opposite to that. So now the lone pair from OH will attack here, remove this. So what are we getting? We are getting epoxide cases. So we will get something like an epoxy case here. Got it? Third, if this same thing, what is this form? This is also a trans form, where this is at, sorry, this is at axial position, this is also at axial position. Now this is a cis form where NH2 I am keeping it at axial position. Now this time if you observe, hydrogen is the one which is anti to that. So as H2, as N2 is relieved, hydride shift will take place. That's why you will get this as the major product. So depending upon the conformation given, you accordingly sort out which will be the major product. If the question is asked how many possible products, you will write 3 of them. Where is that case? Yeah, here. 1, 2, 3. So these 3 are the major, these 3 are the possible products. Depending upon the conformer, we will get accordingly the major product. See the next case here. Pinacolones can be, instead of giving pinacol, you can be given this way also. A double bond is nearby. So as soon as the protonation is done, which means this pi attacks on H plus by Markovnikov's addition, we can get this carbon to get positive charge. Ring breaking will take place. Ring expansion is happening. Lone pair will support here to get this pinacolone form. Okay, that is another form. Another form is, instead of NH2, this time we may have bromine or iodine chlorine, any halide. So this is valid for chlorine, bromine and iodine. And if you treat that with AgNO3, we know that AgBr, AgCl, AgI, they can form precipitates. Carbocation is generated, then migration will take place. I have written here. So migration will take place, lone pair will support, you will get this pinacolone. This is also a case. Sometimes you might be given a strong basis like this, ETO minus. Strong basis on the same case, it can pull away this H plus, make alkoxide. Alkoxide will try to become a double bond here, methyl shift will take place, Br minus will happen. Relatively this is a very slow step as compared to that of the above. But this reaction is also possible, and that's how you will get the pinacolone formation. So same pinacolone is forming by using this base. Sometimes you would be given as an epoxides here, and you can use any Lewis acids here. PCl3, yeah, okay, we can use any Lewis acids here. So BF3, MgBr3, PCl3, any of that, got it? Or even for that matter, simple H plus acid also you can use here. So what you can observe, first it would form this acid base reaction here, Lewis acid base reaction, then the ring breaking will happen and it will break to the more stable carbocation. So here there are 2 phenyls, so it would break onto this carbocation. Lone pair will support it back, migration will take place here and pinacolone will form. right? Similar case, next one is also similar case, just go through that. Okay, this usually it should be in the phenol cases, but I'm not sure if in the question paper if it comes again, I don't want you to lose out on that. Check it out. Suppose if it is dienol phenol rearrangement, so this is di-in and all, right? So dienol phenol rearrangement, how it happens, let us see. This is like an pinacolone, correct? This is a formed pinacolone, so it is going a reverse reaction now, correct? So it is like what happens before rearrangement. So in H plus, this type of a phenolic forms, if you can get where phenol is more stable form, so this ketose will convert into that. See the mechanism. In H plus, the lone pair present on oxygen will attack on this H plus, becomes OH. As it becomes OH, it will take away its lone pair, gets the carbocation. Carbocation keeps rotating around the ring. Yeah, and once it gets to this form here, then migration will take place. So R minus will shift here, which means 1 to alkyl shift has been done. And once that is done, you will get the hydride which is present here, right? It will give away that electrons, makes it as a double bond formation, and that is the same H plus which you have used. So that means it is used as a catalyst. So this is called dienol phenol rearrangement. Okay guys, so these are the cases of pinnacle, pinacolone, right? So that could be asked in exam. So please go through this all cases once again. Now we have learned about glycols. Now let us focus on glycerols, right? Glycerols are if you have two OH groups vicinal to each other, right? So sorry, three OH groups vicinal to each other. Usually it is prepared during the manufacturing of soap as a side product. So triglyceride oil is a naturally, we can get this oil. So triglyceride oils, if you treat that with NaOH, we can convert that into glycerin and soap. This is called stearate soap. We have recently done the same thing while we were doing, chemistry in everyday life. So this is a preparation reaction. Majorly industrially also the glycerin is prepared this way. Next. See the same reactions what we have seen for glycol, the same reactions are repeated, but just focus on the number of moles here, okay? Suppose if I treat that with red phosphorus and iodine, OH, 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 all got replaced by iodine. And we got a double bond here. Why double bond? I just told you that vicinal iodides are unstable. They would give away iodine and you will get double bond here. Now this is not vicinal. There is only one iodine that can exist. So the product will end up here itself. But the same reaction if I do it with 3HI, observe carefully. This has been asked a lot of times in exams as an integer type question. Check this. First iodide will come. So how many moles I have used? I have used 3 moles. After iodide, any of the two, you can choose these two or these two. So let me choose these two. These two being unstable, it will come as I2, right? And you'll get an alkene form here. Again, HI addition is done. So the fourth mole this time. This is the fourth mole. On addition, hydrogen will come here, right? And iodine will come here. Now this has again become vicinal iodide. Vicinal iodides are unstable. You will get a propene molecule. And HI on addition, fifth mole. On addition on propene, you will get this iso propyl iodide. Correct? So total number of moles of HI that are used are 5. Right? So practice this reaction, guys. This could be asked in exams. So be prepared with this. How many moles are being used in this? Next case, just like in glycols, we have done the reaction with oxalic acid. Here also, with oxalic acid, normally the reaction is done at around 260 degrees. Okay, special reaction that is at 110 degrees, right? So this is rarely used. Mostly 260 degrees reaction is being more used because that is a way to prepare allyl alcohols also. So first ester formation at any two locations. So first an ester formation with respect to any two OH groups. You can see, let's say I choose these two, first two. So which means this OH, H and H. They will form this cyclic ester. So on this carbon, we have the one CH2OH, and on heating, we know that there would be, rearrangement, concerted rearrangement here. So we'll get a double bond formation here, and carbon dioxide is relieved. So 2 moles of carbon dioxide has lost, initially 2 moles of water has lost, and finally the product here has become allyl alcohol. Okay. So I hope all of you got that. Again, this is an important reaction. Usually you will be asked at temperature 260 degrees. If it is given as 110 degrees, no mechanism is specified, just a formic acid and carbon dioxide is formed. Okay. Which means it won't react with this, only this would form formic acid and carbon dioxide. Next, any doubt here? Check this. If we treat that with concentrated HNO3, so I take 3 moles of HNO3, right? Same type of an ester, just like an ester formation here. So we'll have OH and H, alcohols H and OH here, H and OH here, H and OH here, right? So you will get this form here, trinitroglycerine. The product formed is trinitroglycerine. TNG is an explosive that is used in dynamites, okay, and it is oily, known as the Nobel's oil. Okay, such a good name for such, a dynamite. I guess all of you got that. Next, this is a very repetitive question in mains, so please check this out. What happens in the case if we have glycerine with dehydrating agent like KHSO4? KHSO4 usually always be used as dehydrating agent. So we can expect that, water to be relieved out of this. So OH and this H will come out as H2O. You will get a alkene form here. Second time again, you can see OH and H will come out as water. So you'll get an alene form here. So alene alcohol. This is alene alcohol. This is an enol form. So that enol form will become aldehyde form here by tautomerization, and you will get this alpha beta unsaturated aldehyde. Got it? Acrolein, if you remember. Right? So these are the cases which you need to just go through that. Okay. So in polyhydroxy cases, the last one, right? So this is the last reaction, which again it is an important in terms of breaking the carbon-carbon bond, known as the oxidative cleavage of polyhydric alcohols. Basically what we are doing, we are trying to break the carbon-carbon bond here, right, and making an oxidation reaction. So if you treat that with, tetraacetate lead, okay, TEL, if you remember, tetraacetate lead, or you can use periodic acid or periodic acid. Any of this would give us bond breaking between carbon and carbon. Okay, see how the reaction is taking place here. So the lone pair from the glycol will attack on the lead, removing of OAC group here. OAC is left here. Yesterday also we did oxidation, on CrO3, same reaction, same mechanism. Okay. See, oxygen attacking on lead, making this form here, OAC is left. Next, once that is done, again lone pair on this oxygen is attacking on lead, forming this cyclic ester. This type of a cyclic ester has been formed. 2 times you can see OAC has left. One OAC has left here, one OAC has left here. Okay. And normally this is carried above room temperature, and that is sufficient enough for the bond breaking to happen here. So this cyclic ester will break the bonds, and see how the bond is breaking. First carbon carbon bond, see here the bond is breaking and giving away electrons to lead. Bond here is breaking, making it as a double bond. So both sides there is a double bond O forming here, PbOAC twice. So if you check out the oxidation state, we started off with +4 oxidation state and lead got reduced to +2 oxidation state. Carbon carbon bond broke and it was become HCHO. Same thing I can explain for HiO4 here. Lone pair attacks from oxygen, first makes this bond, and as soon as that is done, see the H plus present here, the lone pair present here will also extract this proton so that it can become OH2 plus. Okay. So you can see OH2 plus has been formed. Second time when the lone pair attacks here, this OH2 has left. Just like here OAC was leaving, here H2O is leaving. Again a cyclic ester is forming here, got it? And this lone pair on oxygen has taken away the H plus which was present on it, so that has become OH. Again this it is sufficient temperature for it to break here, so therefore you can see carbon carbon breaks here to form 2 HCHO, and this will become HiO3. Check out the oxidation state. It started off with +7 oxidation state and now it is +5. Okay. Mechanism again not important, trick is important. How you will make the product to be forming, that is important. Now check these cases. Suppose if you have been given HiO4 or PbOAC twice TeL, how do we make the reaction? Just break the carbon carbon bond, give one OH above and one OH down, which means CH2, this CH2 now got one OH, it already had, a new OH has come. 2 OH on carbon is unstable, so that's why it will become aldehyde. If you have bottom carbon also, it has 2 OH, unstable, it will become aldehyde. So 2 moles of formaldehyde is formed. Now the same reaction can be seen, you know, if you have C double bond O, C double bond O OH, which means acid, NH2, NHR, not NR2. So in all of these cases also the cleavage is the same way. Okay. So observe this. If you can understand this example, I think you will be able to do any type of question in this area. Check out. Here, check one by one carefully. Above there is a aldehyde form. Second, I have taken alcohol. Next, ketone, alcohol, amine, acid. So if all of them are present, how to break the bond? First, you can start either here or here, it doesn't matter. So I start breaking from here, let's say. When I break from here, I got first OH and OH, right? So break the bond, give one OH above, one OH below. Now between these two, break the bond, give one OH above, one OH below. Break the bond, give one OH above, one OH below. Break the bond, OH, OH, break the bond, OH, OH. See what happened on the top carbon, first carbon. You got C double bond O was already there, then one OH got fixed. So what happened? Formic acid has formed. Second carbon, one OH was there, two new OH has come. So you can check out this OH and this OH are new OH. So now this carbon has 3 OH groups. So remove one as water, so it will remain as HC double bond OH. So again, carbon with 3 OH groups will always end up at acids. Third carbon, already C double bond O is there and 2 more OH group have come. So this would also come out as water and becomes carbon dioxide. Fourth carbon, again carbon with 3 OH, we learned that it will form formic acid. Carbon with one NH2 and 2 OH groups. These 2 OH groups will become, you know, C double bond O and NH2 will remain. So what has happened? Amide has been formed. This carbon has formed amide. Last carbon, CO, this already has C double bond O with one OH and another OH has just come. So this OH2 will be, H2O will be lost and it will become carbon dioxide. So I hope you guys understood that, how to break the bonds. So we got first carbon as acid, second carbon acid, third one is carbon dioxide, amide and carbon dioxide. Just to showcase with an example, check out how the glucose breaking is been done. Glucose, first when you break, right? So now I'll write, check this. First I have broken here, I got one OH above, one OH down. Second bond, I have broken that OH and OH. Third bond breaking OH and OH. Fourth bond breaking OH and OH. Fifth bond OH and OH. Yeah. So first has already one C double bond O and now OH has come. So it has become acid. So first one formic acid. Second one has 3 OH, that will also become acid. This will also become acid, acid and acid. So you can see that we can have acid all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All 5 are becoming acid only. So 5 HCOOH. The last one, it has only 2 OH groups, which means it will become aldehyde. So this type of an integer type questions are familiar. So you should be able to identify how many acids, how many aldehydes, how many carbon dioxide are formed. So glucose will give you 5 HCOH and 1 HCO. If it is fructose, this is the structure of fructose. Again, same bond breaking. If at all I break the bond here, we get OH and OH. If at all I break the bond here, break the bond here, break the bond here and break the bond here. See what I'm getting. First I'll get that OH I have already mentioned, OH and OH here, OH and OH here, OH and OH here, OH and OH here at the end. So you can see first carbon is formaldehyde, there are 2 OH. Last carbon is also formaldehyde, so 2 moles of formaldehyde. This carbon and this carbon, all three are carbon dioxide, all three have 3 OH groups, so which means 3 moles of acid. This carbon already has C double bond O with 2 OH groups, so which means it will become carbon dioxide. Okay. Now, while you are having any configuration issues, like you can see that here this OH and OH are cis to each other. If you go back to the mechanism, we need to make sure that when this cyclic ester forms, both the O groups are on the same side, right? So it is kind of a syn formation, syn addition, right? So both of them should be syn to each other, that is very important. So OH has to be syn to each other. So these two are syn to each other. So that is why here the bond breaking will take place. Bond will break here. This part will become aldehyde. This part will become, ketone. This part will become ketone. So you can see this is the product. But if both of them are anti to each other, reaction won't take place. Okay. So both must be vicinal and syn-sided. So both should be syn-sided. Here also OH and OH are opposite to each other, no reaction. Here also OH and OH are opposite to each other, no reaction. Okay. Now in cyclohexane, if it is cyclohexane, you can see this OH and this OH, they are cis to each other, right? Check out, this is equatorial form and this is axial form. Equatorial and axial are always syn to each other or cis to each other. Because they are cis to each other, and if I write the conformer of these two carbons only, check out, this is the conformer. OH and OH are gauge to each other. With 60 degrees angle, I can definitely make an ester here. So that is not a problem. So it is sufficient to form that iodate ester. Alright. So here you can form the ester, bond breaking can take place. That's why this will be the main product. So you can see, which means I can tell that this bond breaking will take place and you will have aldehyde on both sides. Even if you have trans with both OH, this was cis form, right? Or this are cis form. But if you have trans with both equatorial, you have OH and OH, both of them are equatorial to each other. This is equatorial and this is equatorial. Again, write the conformer for that. In the Newman projection, you can see again these OH and OH are 60 degrees. So this is also sufficient to form iodate ester. So we can say that bond breaking can take place here also and you would get this product. So in cyclohexane, just be careful. If both of them are anti to each other on the axial form, no reaction will take place. Okay. Now this is the last special reaction which we have studied in alkenes as well. So I'm just repeating that. Suppose if you have this octene, Got it? Cyclooctene. When you treat that with KMnO4 and NaI4 mixture, so two things will happen. First, KMnO4 is preparing more like an enol forms here, OH and OH forms here, right? And with iodate IO4 minus, it is forming an ester here and bond breaking is taking place. So mixture of these two, if you treat it on double bond, you can say it is forming an aldehyde, right? And since KMnO4, because I have not specified this as a Bayer's reagent, right? Here we can say that this aldehydes can further go for oxidation to form acids. This is called Limex-Rudolph oxidation. Not in JE, please understand these names are not in JE, but just the reaction if it comes, just check out how to be done. So Limex-Rudolph oxidation. Same thing if you use osmium O4, that is tetraoxide, just like diols will form here, NaI4 will break that and it will end at aldehydes because this oxium is not going to oxidize further towards acids. Okay, so this is Lamech-Johnson oxidation, Rudolph oxidation and Johnson oxidation. Johnson ends at aldehyde, Rudolph goes up to acids. Okay, so given any reaction like this, any double bond is there, what do we do? First, think like you are forming in diols and then you are breaking this bond. If it is with osmium tetroxide, end up at aldehydes. If it is with KMnO4, aldehydes will end up at acids, ketones will remain.